crap, I need my phone. You need to be able to look at the screen chat.
Yeah, you got to be able to look at chat. Says we've been streaming for 15 seconds, but it's not like reflecting on my page. Let me refresh my stream manager.
I was gonna say, I see it popped up with the notifications.
Heck yeah, dude. Let's go. All right. Welcome. Reading with your mouth, talking comics with the Mouth Breathers Guild. Welcome. We're all here. We're doing it big. We're going to be talking about Luther Strode, specifically the strange talent of Luther Strode, not this whole gargantuan, massive omnibus of all the Luther Strode. We're going to be we'll get to it. We'll get to it over several weeks. But of course, indie artists, we got to plug some books. So with us as always, Ben Hill. I got his copy of The Time Police, Chapter 1. All 3 chapters are now on Kickstarter. That Kickstarter ends tomorrow?
Yeah. Well, less than 48 hours. So, yeah.
Nice.
You got about 40 hours left to go out and reserve your book, make your pledge. I mean, whatever it is, $5 get you a digital copy. A little bit more get you the regular copy. You can get Manny Tavares' copy, his variant cover copy. So jump out there. Throw support that way.
Yeah.
This book is an absolute blast. Get it now. It's fully funded, so if you order it, you're guaranteed a copy. I'm excited to get mine. And then, of course, Manny on the stream. Here is his Legend of Carl Deep Rock Galactic book. Do you still have copies of this for sale?
Yep, still got copies.
Hell yeah. You can definitely get these at Heroes Con. And oh my god, that ring light. You got that glossy cover. And then Manny and I, have our Renowned series. So 3 comics about monster hunters. It's sci-fi, it's high fantasy, it is monster hunting. It is an absolute blast. If you like all these fun things, check it out. These are all, including Ben's, all available now on Webtoons. So please go check it out on Webtoons.
Oh yeah.
Doing a chapter at a time. You can find us at the Mouth Breathers Guild on Webtoons. Should probably update the links on my Twitch and YouTube and everything.
Oh yeah.
We'll get there. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Luther Strode, Justin Jordan, Trad Moore, Felipe Sobreiro. Yeah. Sobreiro. Luther Strode is an average teenage nerd until he sends away for the Hercules method, a bodybuilding course that promises to give him the body of his dreams. But the powers he unleashes make him a target for a murder cult as old as mankind, cost him almost everything, and take him across the world to fight back to take his life. This is the complete series, collected in 1 edition. So there's 6 issues of 3 different little chapters. This book is big. It's beefy. It is so violent. And hilarious.
It's awesome.
And it just rocks. Guys, general impressions. What are we thinking?
General impressions. This book kicks ass. It's cool to see Trad evolve during the creation of this whole thing. So you see he's kind of a bit more angular in the very beginning of this book in the very first issue, and then towards the last few chapters, he's turning into Trad. He's turning into Trad more. And it's a good superhero story. It's definitely super violent. I'm for the ride. I love violent books. I love Berserk. So Luther Strode is up there for me. What about you, Ben?
I'm 100% on board with that, Manny. What I will say is, even though this was kind of Trad's first foray into major comic books, you can still see just his ability to show action in the very beginning, and how heavily he is influenced in manga. It's not as apparent here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get into that in the next part of Luther Strode, because he definitely lets his manga flag fly in Legend and Legacy. But in this one, you just get to see him as a storyteller and a visual storyteller, because there's just some things, and we'll get to it, that he can take you from panel to panel to panel, and it's just effortless.
Right.
I will say, Justin, his story makes for, Kev I'm certain you can touch on this a little bit more, so I'll hand it over to you in just a second. But he's able to build a world that is steeped in reality, and he takes just that funny concept of that that Atlas bodybuilding method
Yeah.
and just tweaks it a
Yeah.
little bit and builds an entire premise off of that little tweak. My understanding when listening to an interview with the three of these guys is that originally it was Trad and Justin that started to talk about this concept, and just that's all it took was that little spark. Like, what if? And then they built in the whole society, and they built in like how, and again we'll touch on this later on, but how far back does all this
Right.
go?
Yeah.
Which amazing that they take it all the way back as far as they do. And Felipe, it was actually Justin that like came across Felipe and some of his work that he was doing on the color side.
Yeah.
It was just like, I love this guy's colors. Like, let's bring him in.
Yeah.
And there's a really funny story in Legend, so next series, which when we get to Legend in 2 weeks, I'll share that. But a really funny story between like Trad and Felipe and some of the stuff that they were doing. But man, just all in all, if you're telling an origin story of a character, this is a hell of an origin story. And I'm so glad that that something like this exists, because it just shows you the art of the possible.
Right. It's like I saw somewhere that they described it as a violent Spider-Man or a violent Peter Parker book, basically.
Yeah.
If Peter Parker went super vicious.
Exactly. Yep. You got the school bully and all
Right.
that stuff that pops up in here.
You got all the cliches and then just tweaks to it, which is great. I do enjoy that. And I know with Trad Moore, his art technique from back in the day, I'm assuming he was doing it with this to get like really clean inks and stuff. He wouldn't use like a light table or whatever. It was really weird how he would do it. He would like draw it on paper, right? A big sheet of paper in pencil, and then he would like flip it over and then burnish it onto another piece of paper so he could get like really clean inks or something. And he was like, yeah, so it took me a very long time to finish each page. And it still takes him a long time to finish a page, but I mean, it's like a master at work. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, okay, so I have a question about that, and then I want to ask Kev like his thoughts on story and everything else. But if you're burnishing that onto another piece of paper, you're essentially creating a mirror image. So is he drawing everything backwards?
Yeah, I think he was drawing stuff backwards and stuff, like keeping that in mind. Yeah.
Dude,
he's crazy.
insane.
He's crazy, man. He's a freak. He's a freak, and I love him.
So, I mean, you know, Kev, it is funny because I read the way that like Justin writes a story, and I'm not gonna like say, you know, Kev, this is exactly the way you write. But I love the fact that you and Justin seem to have similar tendencies. Like, let's tell an amazing badass story that has crazy shit happen in it. And you and Manny have a very collaborative process, which is what it sounds like Justin and Trad had. But Justin likes to put those little humorous beats in, and that's like the same stuff that I see you doing, right? We're going to tell this crazy story, but we're going to make sure there's still some humor there. So when you're reading this, do you relate to that writing style, or how did you approach it when you first read Strange Talent?
A good question. Thank you. It's very high praise to compare me to this. But I think what I most identify with in his usage of tropes. Like, you just like really like get to like lean on the archetypal things, like the nerd who's trying to get the girl, the high school bully, the abused mom, like very obvious identifiers that just kind of get you up to speed so you don't have to dwell and like really dive into deeper character motivations, which I really like, because then like, you know, you present everything at a surface level and then kind of dive deep into it when the story like calls for it. Like, why does he actually want the Hercules method? And you kind of get the backstory of his dad and all that. And like, why is this crazy guy like just murdering everybody to get to Luther, like who is this guy? And then like he unpacks his story when it's time for like Luther to learn. Whereas like that kind of ambiguity and mystery gets to build while also feeling immediately like identifiable. Like he's this cultist madman who's on a warpath. So you don't really need to understand what he wants or why up front. You just know that he is a looming threat. And I think that that like functions very well.
Yeah.
In terms of the humor, I think that it's just really necessary when you're going to do a story like this that is so hyper violent and so typical. Like you really like need something to like add some butter into that sauce, you know what I mean? Like you got to tie everything together, and like using humor kind of lets you like embrace the fact that you're being cheesy for a moment, embrace the fact that you're going to be predictable, because that way you can twist it later on. Like it's
Right.
I don't mean this in like a oh it's a crutch sort of thing, but it definitely is a crutch. Like if you're going to tell a story this brutally savage and vicious, like you have to decide very quickly whether or not it's going to be funny, because if it's not funny, it becomes a totally different book. Like like when I think of something like the that Vince Vaughn movie, the Brawl in Cell Block 99,
dude.
like
Yeah.
that's hyper violent but not funny. Like
Yeah.
and it has a totally different tone.
It makes it feel a certain way.
Makes you feel disgusting. And like there's not a lot of comic books that really want that. Like
Right.
I read this and I like see the blood of like Garth Ennis through this. Like I see Preacher and The Boys and Crust and stuff like that. Like where it's just biting kind of satire and very dark and twisted, but like relishing in the dark humor of it all.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they don't hold back. I think that's the one thing. I mean, if you're out there buying this book, even the covers of the book themselves kind of let you know what you were in for from the beginning. Even the variant covers, because like seeing some of the variant covers, there's always someone covered in blood. I think there's only one cover or like a piece of fan art that shows like the Hercules method and like the get buff and all this stuff. But like the first cover where you've got just the kind of straight on profile shot where he's cut off at the head and at the just below the waist. I mean, Luther is completely covered in blood, and I love just how dirty like Felipe makes that feel with his colors. There's such a natural tone to it that makes it feel gritty, but not like overly noir, right? Still setting it in more of a grounded, like, this is the texture of clothing, this is what it all looks like, and it's also covered in like viscera. So it's just a big shout out to like Felipe and his colors too, because there's a lot that goes into this book to make it feel like you're still in a world of reality.
God, the page 2-3 spread is just so like I love that everything is just red. Like that like immediately jumped out to me, and then of course like there's vomiting blood, they're spurting blood from their head and their guts, and their limbs are hacked off.
Killing people with their arms.
Yeah. With their arms. There's the guy just like permanently falling out of the ceiling up here.
He's just like peeling off. Yeah, he's just peeling off the ceiling basically.
People are ripped in half.
Yeah.
I love one thing that I love just now that I'm looking at this right now is all of the little in-jokes that Trad is kind of doing with the posters and the subtle references. Like you have Godfather and Scarface here, but then there's like Fast and Furious posters and like, Fantastic Four and 100 Bullets poster really caught my eye there right at the beginning. Like just a great little touch. Like I feel like in every comic book, like the kids are into comic books. You know what I mean? Like,
And I think the best part too is when you get to Luther's bedroom, like look at all the posters on Luther's bedroom walls, because they're all things that like come from, Trad's era, my era of like growing up with movies. They're so fantastic. But I want to shout out this panel here. So you get like the 2-page spread and just all the violence. And this really, again, within the first 3 pages, he's just showing I can do action. Like this is pretty simple. Where you have the punch in the bottom left-hand panel that leads you to the kind of limb ripping in the second panel, and the arm coming up like this, tearing off one arm, like leads to the other arm being shoved down the guy's throat. It's everything.
Yeah.
And like, there's not going to be a ton of, sexiness in this, but like, there is just some like sexiness to the gore where there's so much attention paid to. Yeah, so if I shove a guy's hand down another guy's throat, like fingers could possibly burst out his neck. So we're just gonna add that detail. Like, why not? We've got time.
Let's go all the way, all in, no stops.
Yeah, it's just like it's such an immediate attention grab. Like you really like have to put something that big in your second page for like something so new. You're like, I'm trying to tell something across 18 issues. This is gonna be a big story. Like we're gonna get you hooked. And how do you do it? You just gore everywhere, just crazy violence.
Yeah, the opening scene, boom.
Set the tone.
This is what to expect. And now let's go back in time.
Yeah, and you got scrawny little Luther,
Yeah.
which I love scrawny Luther.
Dude, I'm just
Oh,
like, how does he... I remember reading this the first time, being like, how the fuck does he become this big giant burly thing? And then it's the Hercules method. I'm just like, oh, One Punch Man, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I honestly think this is where One Punch Man, like, he was reading American comic books and came across this. He had to.
Probably. I know they came out around the same time, or one came out later. I don't know, but
This was 2009
I think so.
when this originally dropped. Let's see if that's there.
And Kev, like, the page that you're on, that right-hand page where you kind of get that pose and everything, I just love the feeling that trad can give you, where it's like, you're a scrawny dude. You're gonna do, a little yoga pose. Then we're gonna do a couple of push-ups.
Yeah.
Then it's like, oh yeah, like I'm a big strong boy. Like go and flex in the mirror after you did something for the first time. I mean, I remember. Heck, there are times I do that now. Like I'll go lift weights and then I'll look in the mirror and be like, oh wow.
Yeah.
Like, when I actually lift, I can see some definition.
You got some beef.
It's like I can totally relate to Luther, right?
After the first set of push-ups, you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
I will say on this like next spread, I was so hungry for like more of this like weird Hercules Cenobite like lore that we just do not get for the rest of Strange Talent. That like kind of bummed me out. Like I was this is the kind of shit that like gets me absolutely juiced. I mean, and like just the detail of like loosening a tooth and spitting it out and like cutting some guy's eye out with it is so fucking rad. It's so cool.
It's very metal. Just
Don't
using
I
his
think
teeth.
you get like one more hint. Oh well, I guess that comes in the actual flashback story of how this all started.
Yeah.
Right. I guess they don't actually show the weird cave again with everybody chained up. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm just gonna say this. I really, 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 really like Strange Talent, Luther Strode. But dude, I retroactively bought this. I started off with Legend. And Legend blew my damn mind. So Strange Talent is really good, and to understand the full arc of Luther Strode, you have to start with Strange Talent. But I'm so freaking stoked to talk about like the next two arcs of Luther Strode, because to your point, Kev, you get way more of these guys chained up and hanging in the caves, and like who they are and what they can do. And the librarian here, he's our first minor villain, right? The first hurdle. You got to have a Piccolo before you can face a Vegeta, right?
Right. Yeah. Little warm-up sesh.
Yeah.
A little warm-up sesh.
That really fucks your world up.
Yeah, I love. One thing that I think is really interesting is like the pacing in this book, like the sense of space and time. Like when he does his like I can see everything super fast sequences,
Uh-huh.
like and how they dedicate like a page or two to these like sequences like going crazy, and then like juxtaposed with like later on where we're like getting the meat potatoes of the plot, where it's just like he meets the girl, there's suddenly like immediate chemistry and it's all going great.
Yeah.
He fucks up the bully so fast, like it's the way like the moments that they choose to like dwell on versus not are really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, number one, I I still have a major crush on Petra.
Still have.
Petra is freaking hilarious. I love her to death. I feel like this is where you get the sweetheart version of Petra, because
Right. Yeah.
the later stories, as like she grows, and we'll see her in like the next the next few books.
She turns into Petra.
Oh, she turns in. Oh man, then she comes hardcore, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, then she gets even hotter somehow.
You can see.
But Petra is a completely fictional character, completely fictional, because this is Mary Jane Watson. If Mary Jane Watson was like, nope, you're my boyfriend now, Peter.
Right.
Like, there's no question.
Yeah.
And that's what I love so much about Petra. Luther Strode, of course, is like, or Luther is always like, yeah, you know, she's cute and that's great. And Petra's like, come here.
Kiss me right now.
That's right.
Yeah, I love the kissing panel, and
Yeah.
his eyes are wide open, just like what is happening.
Right.
Oh, this is awesome. You know, the high school vibe.
Something so funny about just high school bullies.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I love the trope just because we didn't really have them in the traditional sense, I guess, when we were like, by the time we were in high school, Manny. It was like, they were definitely dicks, but they weren't like varsity jacket wearing like dudes who called you a dork and stuffed you in lockers, you know?
Uh-huh. Well, we didn't experience that.
No, because we were cool. Because we
Yeah.
were stuffing kids in lockers.
Yeah. We were stuffing them in lockers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's because I read the Hercules Method.
That's right. I did too. I was there. Got it in the back of the
Man.
comic book. It was great.
It again, playing off of tropes. You pointed this out, Kev. You had the first little scene where you saw a little bit of like the mom about to drop a dish. Luther jumps in and finds out he somehow has like super speed now. And then when Paul, the bully, is picking on like his best friend and him and Jim, you officially get like, holy crap. Like I've unlocked some kind of supernatural sense for like super perception, super strength, super speed. And the bully gets his very quick comeuppance. Like we don't really
Right.
see a major confrontation. Like he kind of shoves Luther against the locker, makes fun of like Luther's buddy, kind of picks on Petra a little bit, but you know, boom, just wrecked. And I love this is where you first start to see like, well, not even first. We already had the tearing off of limbs,
Right.
but just Trad's ability to show motion through the violence, just the arc of that blood. It's like
Dude.
the ball is going to essentially leave this blood trail that
Yeah.
like loops up and into his nose, so it just shows him rocketing back. It is phenomenal.
I love that motion too. I love that shot, and then like the blood coming from the two nostrils, and it just looks like two sides just like going through, right? But
Because you imagine like his head just rocketing back, and
right.
like that's the path that your
Yeah.
head would take. Right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And I love the blue images with him like figuring out where he's gonna move, you know?
Yeah.
He's just like what are the possible outcomes? It's like the Sherlock Holmes kind of thinking right there.
It's like I've been reading this like fantasy series like called Mistborn, and
Uh-huh.
like they like one of the like magics that they use in the series like is so powerful because it basically lets you see that all the time.
Oh,
And like
that's
I was like, you know, when you're reading something in your head and you're like, I'm trying to like put it in my mind's eye, and you're like, this is that exactly. And I was just like, loved it. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
sick. This is basically what's been going on in my head already.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the when there's action going on, like when Luther catches that ball, it's just a whole bunch of speed lines on half of that panel, and then
oh,
the rest of the panel is just, them in that scene. And then it goes back again, right? When he's throwing the ball, we see like the background, and then it slowly bleeds into with all those speed lines of him getting hit in the face. It's just those little details of just like, all right, now everything fades away, and we're focusing on that moment. And I think that's pretty freaking sweet. I don't know.
this is not to pick on Trad, so please don't take this as like, oh, Trad was being lazy back then. Trad was just still, growing as an artist. Because I see that dodgeball and just how flat everything looks, and like Felipe gave it some gradient and some shading and everything to make it look round.
Uh-huh.
But knowing like what Trad would do today, like there would be a complete flip in texture all over that ball.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
you would go hardcore into that.
Yeah. It's like
I mean,
really cool.
it doesn't take anything away, right?
No.
It's showing what it needs to show, but just knowing like, again, he's starting out, so this is like
And he was
very Trad.
he was noodling a lot, I feel like, on these. There's a lot more feathered like lines like coming from the shoulders, that tension from like where the folds of the clothes go from the armpit out to the deltoid. Just like stuff like that, where points of tension on the knee with jeans and stuff. There's just like a lot of feathering going on with that. And then now he probably wouldn't even put that in there. It would just be the shape of the pants or the shape of the shirt or whatever. And then he'll go like super crazy on the background. Just looking at the Doctor Strange stuff and how he was just like super abstract with everything. It's just like, this is early Trad Moore, and it's still awesome. It's just a different time, and man, it's really cool to see it. The noodly Trad Moore.
So the one question I have, this is like the 2 pages that I don't quite understand why they fit in here, other than just to show the librarian is super strong.
Uh-huh.
Right? I guess this kind of gives you some of that. Is it the fact that the librarian is coming to the town, like he just hitched a ride on this ship? Is that?
That's what I read it as.
Okay.
Yeah. Because he's like in that cave, and then that's just what I'm thinking. And then he finds a way on a cargo boat and kills everybody on it.
That's funny. I also like one of my favorite moments, like much later in this saga, is when he's just like, if you want to see your family again, like meet me down at the docks. And I was just like, what is it about like bad guys and being like, we're gonna do all of our shady I mean, I guess it's the port to, send illicit substances and contraband out of the country or whatever. But like, it's always at the goddamn docks. You know what I mean?
But you just tied it all together for me. Like, if this is the ship that the librarian took to get to the city that Luther's in, the reason they have the fight at the docks is because when the librarian kicks his ass, he just throws him on a ship, and they sail back to the cave.
The spider jail.
Yeah, spider jail.
Yeah, I like that. Oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. That's perfect.
I also like, and that like all that blood is like all the people that he's killed to get up to this like dock worker guy. Basically, is that the interpretation there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just saw blood. I was just like, what? Like, whose blood? What's going on?
Yeah. You kind of got to read into it a little bit. It's either that or like the water on the ship is. No, it's all the blood because it's not a sinking ship. So yeah, it's just all everyone's blood.
And it's also like one to like it's a time break between dodgeball and like the next sequence. Like it's something, because there are certain passages in the book, like, and we'll find them as like I'm flipping through this conversation, but where it's just like a scene ends and then you flip to the next page and it's another scene, but it's not like so different in space and time that you would immediately go, oh, this is a different scene. I get it. Like there was several times throughout this reading I was like flipping, making sure I didn't like stick 2 pages together and like miss something, just because like the scene jumps were so egregious sometimes.
It would be nice if they had like some kind of just day call out or whatever, right? Because to your point, it's like the dodgeball incident happens, and then maybe that's nighttime of the same one, but then you get back to Luther and his buddy in the bathroom, and his buddy is telling him like, oh well, you know, the bully's coming back to school today, which means that there's been some kind of time lapse.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't think it really matters, like calling out the amount of time, just like, you know, a week later or whatever, just to give the fact that time has progressed.
Yeah.
I also think that like the increasing Luther in size may have made for an obvious like time jump.
Yeah.
You know, they're using that as kind of like the marker of his like progress throughout. You know, you can do things like, you know, massive changes in like lighting values and colors and things like that to like make it super obvious. I mean, it is obvious that these are entirely different sequences, but like the sense of time, I guess, is the big one.
We're getting up to like the catharsis of the whole first part of this book for me, though. I absolutely love this build up. I thought it was so weird, so cool. Seeing like the inside of Paul, like just showing again his power, like starting to activate, and it's like, whoa, I can see through people's skin. Like I can see their musculature inside of their body.
Yeah.
And then we get the like, don't do it, man, showing that he's a good guy, right? Luther's like, I really don't want to fight, but if I'm gonna, and this leads to like a hilarious the one buddy like throws up.
Right.
Just like Trad just gets to show the chunks, and oh dude.
And you get the one thing that's like kind of hard to see, kind of zoom in on, with the little smile on his face, because everyone says holy shit, and he's got this shit-eating grin. He's like,
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
let's
It's like,
go.
holy
you know what I mean?
shit.
I have
Yeah.
And then the fake Hercules advertisement. So this is in the trade that I have.
Oh, that is not in my trade. I think that's in the back of the book.
Yeah, it's in the back.
Yeah. So right next to this, and I want to say this is in like the single. So in like issue 1, that's kind of like the little closeout thing. I just absolutely loved it. And then at the bottom of this mailer, it says mail coupon now for 32-page illustrated manual, and it's already cut out, and it has like a piece showing like another page in the book,
That's
which
funny.
so good.
This one has like the Marvel office in it, which I think is funny.
Oh, that is awesome! Holy smokes, so cool.
That's great.
It's also fun. Like the Hercules method is suddenly become like super, like prescient with, like the rise of like male wellness like industries, like Andrew Tate's and like men's wellness advisors that are like telling you to join pyramid schemes and like hate women and like, you know, get in shape or whatever. It's all veiled as like you need to get your money together and get your like physical shape in order, and it's like that's generally good advice, and it's like, and then you have to own women, and you're like, what was that?
No, wait, no.
What?
And that's like what the Hercules method is basically. It's like, do you want to be buff and strong? You're like, yeah. And it's like, do you want to kill little people? You're like, whoa.
Whoa. Wait
hold
a
on.
second.
I don't want to kill
Maybe
anybody.
not.
It's like murder is everything. Oh man.
No.
That's what I wanted to know if they named the high school.
Voorhees High School.
Yes.
Uh,
High school.
Yeah. Pretty on the nose there with that reference.
That's great.
I'm not mad.
No.
No.
Oh yeah, damn, you have to cut down on the crystal meth kung fu. I love that line.
Okay, that's where the best friend, like with all the wisecracks, he's so true to character. Everybody has had that is or has had the friend that's like, yeah, they were the jokester. They always had the one line. Like, I love his friend. So sad for what comes in the future.
And again,
But-
it's like building on the archetype, like of the wisecracking best friend to give him those immediate connections. He's got his mom, he's got his friend, he's got his girlfriend,
Right.
and like you build those things up because you're going to take them away. Like you only put value into a relationship for a reason, and like for Luther's story, it's necessary for him to lose basically everything.
Yeah. And then
I
become
love
he
that.
becomes the character he becomes. Yeah.
Dude, when Paul comes back, I was so not expecting like the bully to come back again.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And he comes back in a neck brace and he's got like it's hard to see in some of these. You see it I think in one of these upcoming panels. But like he's got his jaw wired shut, which is why. word bubble.
Fuck you,
Oh, I love the
Yeah.
dialogue. I love the
And then his
dialogue.
buddy translates it. And I love how there's always an excuse of why he lost, before,
Mm,
And go into that bully mentality, right?
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah.
it's everybody else.
The sun was in my eyes, dude.
And then the fantasy sequence where he breaks his
Dude.
hand,
Yeah.
just like chops his head off with one swipe.
I remember reading this
I-
for the first time, and then he starts killing everyone around him. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
I had the same reaction.
Dude, no,
The
it's me,
great-
Pete.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you man.
Punches some dude's head off. That shit is so great.
Oh yeah. Well, he still has like his best friend stuck on his hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, so insane. Which it went to kind of the thought that I had that you pointed out, Kev, when you saw that sequence after he punched Paul in the bathroom, and he's got that grin on his face and his eyes are real narrow. You're like, oh man, like he could turn.
Yeah.
And then they show
Awakening the
dream
darkness.
sequence. Yeah, he shows this dream sequence, and I'm like, oh my god, like this, he really did turn. And then
Yeah.
we get the reveal that it was all just. And again, that real subtle, that single panel when you flip the page after all this crazy action, and it's just him with his eyes closed,
Right.
like
Just
showing
breathing in.
I'm collecting myself.
Yeah.
Yep. Breathe in, and all that just through the angle, like the way Trad positions the face and the panel. Just yeah, so good, so good.
Yeah.
This is young boy Trad. This is our little boy.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
man.
already just
I also love
fucking
this.
great.
Yeah, so very good. I love in this sequence though when he looks down at his friend and he's still like the muscly flesh, like, and that's like what he has to like. The assumption there is that that's what he just sees all the time, and that's like such a nightmare.
Yeah.
And you get the good guy sentimentality here, where, what are you so uptight about? That the guy was gonna probably have to go to the gym and change his tidy whities now, and Luther's just like, I don't want to be that guy. I've had plenty of that guy in my life without being that guy. And again, a very human way of relating to it without having to give like the Stan Lee, very long diatribe as to why I want to be a good guy. He sums it up in 2 sentences and is so much more human. So I thought that was fantastic.
I'm sure that locker had it coming. My parents were killed by a rogue locker. That's
Yeah.
true. He vowed to avenge them.
Love it.
I love that lettering on when they start kissing. Smooch, just a big giant smoochy. It's great.
I also love how much more massive he is this time around, because like their last kissing panel, he's all scrawny, but like
Yeah.
he's already like swallowing her whole with this one.
Yep.
Well, and you don't even get that sense when you first see him in this. It is fantastic. Just the incremental build to him, and we'll see the reveal later on when he like goes to work out in his room again. That like he is freaking ripped. Like he is this whatever this method is. It's working out for him. And I have to say, I love the fact that like Petra is the metal, like she's the heavy metal girl. Like she'll have heavy metal t on.
Yeah.
She's got a 9 Inch Nails t-shirt on here. So good. Little character traits like that, right? You don't have to spell it out. You can give it through just little details.
Oh,
This is, people like to talk about how we read comic books for things like the power fantasy of it all and like, the morality parables. Really, it's just one day I will score the girl wearing the 9 Inch Nails t-shirt,
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's
really
like,
that.
that's the ultimate fantasy
Yeah.
I get from comic books.
I'm just like, one day I'll be in shape.
Hey, priorities, right?
Yeah.
Well, as we've learned, if you just order the Hercules method.
Yeah, so that's all I need to do, really. So.
And I don't know, Petra brings up a t-shirt idea here that, I think I might even wear. So
That would be a fire t-shirt.
Right.
it would be a fire t-shirt.
I want to fuck you, Strode. Get Trad to sign that one.
Oh, hell.
Dude, that would be perfect.
Yeah, and then we get back to this sequence of the bully lifting weights. The librarian. Dude.
Oh my God.
This shot of the librarian's reveal where the dad is wearing the mom's head like a hat.
Yeah.
This is so crazy, dude.
He randomly has an arm, like, I guess it's the mom's arm. I don't know why, but
Yep.
yeah, it's insane.
Such a blast. A great intro. He's also wearing the apron that says "Kiss the Cook" as he's like cleaning up the blood.
So dark, man. That would be terrifying.
But if you notice, it's when Paul has the weight bar and he's about to hit the librarian, like he's rearing back. Another
300.
poster on the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Frank
300.
Miller's 300.
Yeah, well, next to on the previous page, there's a Too Fast, Too Furious
Yeah.
poster next to the 300 poster.
For family.
Jeez, so good. We're gonna get even more posters when we get back to Luther's room too.
Yeah.
I think that was just, again, Brad's like, I just want to pepper in stuff that I love.
Yeah. And he did that.
100%.
It's like,
Yeah,
I want
we
some
got
Frank
some-
Quietly in there. Let's go.
We got some good ones on this page.
Yeah.
We got the Iron Giant.
Yeah. The
We got
legs.
the Thing, and we got.
Are you
All-Star
looking at the
Superman.
posters? I'm
Yeah.
looking at Luther here. Oh my gosh.
Nice cock.
Looking so studly. Man. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry. Posters on the wall too.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hearts on the undies is a very nice touch.
Yes.
It took me like a second to like fully comprehend what was happening with Luther. I was like, why is he so jacked so fast? Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's the superpower thing. Right. But he looks so good.
This is the routine,
Yeah.
right? This is the Hercules method. He goes home and he does this little stance and starts to do his routine. So
Fucking meditating and shit.
God, I love the way Trad does hair. Like Luther's hair even looks fantastic. It's
Yeah.
so good. All the muscles, all the hair detail. Dude is just ripped.
He could do it all.
The eyes convey so much. So good. I love the upside down panel of Petra too in the top right corner because Luther's doing his inverted handstand or his handstand push-ups.
Oh yeah.
So you get the inverted panel of Petra where she's climbing into his bedroom window. Again, I am a Petra fan.
Right.
We all are.
And we all love Akira, and Doom.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. I'm just looking at more posters in the back.
Yeah.
The next page.
Wait, what's the one next to the Doom poster?
I don't know.
Oh,
Can't
now I
tell.
gotta find it. A lamp and what looks like a 4. That's a good question.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
I love the Superman for all seasons. Like, definitely shows you comic book geek.
Yeah.
Drawing a comic book cover in there.
But I love, like, there is, again, we'll dive back into the fantasy element of their relationship a little bit. Like, even though it is kind of like hilarious and highly unlikely that like the metal babe is just like, yeah, this nerd, he's mine. I'm locking it down right now. It doesn't happen too often in real life. But I won't say it never happens because a man can dream. Don't ruin this for me. But I love that they really like do the work in the pages to build the chemistry immediately. She has such a natural charisma. You see why he likes her. You see why she likes him because he's very kind and he like is trying to do the right thing. Like they have a good banter and chemistry just overall, and it like works. Like you can buy into it very quickly.
Right.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I think the one thing, and we'll uncover this here pretty soon. You know, there's a lot of talk, and you see the fact that Luther, his father was abusive.
Right.
There are issues that like he's had to put up with as a child, and seeing what has happened to his mom, and they'll show that a little bit. And then there's a lot of hinting that Petra is in a similar type of abusive family setup, family dynamic. So they both come from rough upbringings.
Yeah. And that brings them together. Shared trauma.
Shared drama.
Shared drama.
Dude, I love the store robbery that's coming.
Yeah. This part's great.
You get more comedy with the bestie. So
well, I love the comedy. I love the use of Slim Jims in this sequence.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yes, so good.
Just blocks the guns and just absolutely fucks these dudes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, just smashes them into each other.
I mean, again, this goes back to what you were saying earlier, Manny. There's so much that he's able to convey where it's just characters with speed lines, right? But he's showing so much action where you see it on the right-hand side just as he's throwing the Slim Jims. You get some setup in the background where the character is standing in front of the sliding doors to give you some spatial awareness. But then it all converts into the speed lines and the Slim Jims coming from the foreground. And it's so amazing, so impactful. Absolutely love it.
It's like, aww.
Step into a Slim Jim.
And then boom.
Yeah. Dude, if only his buddy said yeah instead of shit. You got Slim Jims. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And we end this on a high note. This is the hero Strode. Like what a fun beat to end this on. We don't need, and I appreciate that the next issue like basically starts picking it immediately back up from where this dropped.
Yeah.
And this is where I will say, hold up, my copy from the hero, like the end of like he's not a hero, he's a superhero. We go into like the little ripped from the headlines.
Yeah, I like that touch in yours more than like just all of them being in the back matter of this one.
So
interesting.
Mysterious hero foils robbery. The unknown hero, accompanied by a sidekick, described as loud, blonde, and kind of fat.
It's got this.
So freaking funny. I love it.
I wish he would have stayed after stopping the robbers. He didn't pay for the jerky or the milk. That's really good. See, Manny, this is exactly the kind of stuff we need for the webcomic.
Right.
Table that discussion for later. But that's the exact kind of shit I'm talking about.
It was amazing, said one of the customers. I've never seen anyone move that fast or use beef jerky as a weapon. Freaking so good.
Rad. And then we just immediately jump straight into, hey, you're a superhero now. Here's your costume.
Yeah, I got you a thing. Like, dude, what?
Oh,
I look like an
Luther's
asshole.
yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Dude, the mask is
It's
so
crazy.
rad. I love the way that they play off the mask. He's like, "Where did you even get this thing?" And then there's no follow up.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't matter. The mask is cool. Shut up.
Yeah. Dude, I love how it's flat, flappy around his mouth and shit, because it's opening up in other scenes later in the issues or later in the series and stuff. It just has a lot of interesting movements on that face. I think it looks fantastic. It's almost like Leatherface, but
And I love the kind of subtle Batman joke here. I feel like an asshole, but you look like a badass. Remember, criminals are a cowardly and superstitious lot. The
Yes.
implication that it'll be like that scene in the beginning of the Batman where everyone's running in fear from the shadows.
Right. But man, what a great scene though in that movie. Gosh. It's like, oh shit, it's nighttime. We gotta be careful. Anyway, back to Luther Strode.
I'm not going out there.
Yeah.
And here we get the juxtaposition on the next page where you get
We get him in costume.
what his friend is like, dude, yeah,
He's
you got a destiny, and it
Fighting
shows the
ninjas.
Superman, and it shows it's not just the what is that idyllic future, but what did he grow up with? So you get that light and the dark again.
Yeah,
So-
you can help the helpless, and in his mind it's ninjas, but in Luther's mind it's
It's his
saving his
mom.
mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yes, I
great.
can. And it's such an effective way to tell that story with just the blurb of dialogue before this panel, and that's pretty much all you need.
Yeah, you're like,
That's just-
damn, dude, that's crazy. I'm feeling it. Makes you love
Just
him.
kind of just dwelling on the amount of yellow in the next kind of exchange. The mom's yellow, the colors, the lighting is yellow, his hair is yellow. It's yellow. Everything's yellow.
Yeah.
Very angelic for some reason.
Yes. And then of course the reference on the next page too. I like this subtle touch. You're not as ninja as you think you are. It's right after Joe's Imagine Ninjas. Is that the friend's name, Joe?
I
What-
think so. Yeah.
Pete? Talking... Wait, who are we
Is it
talking?
Pete?
Yeah, I thought it was Pete.
The little guy.
Yeah.
Those-
Pete? I don't remember. I just remember Luther. That's all I can.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's Pete. Pete's his friend.
Pete.
Yeah.
Pete. And he's telling his mom he's going to the library like Spider-Man did
Yeah.
Yeah.
when he goes out to do his justice. I am the darkness. I am the night. I am vengeance. I am bored.
Oh, we see we see there's an argument on the street though. He's got to step in, become the hero that the city needs.
Right.
Yeah, immediately make it poignant, directly tying back into his character of he wants to stop this exact kind of abuse.
Yeah.
And when he jumps in, they're just like, "Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Please stop."
He's
I love the fact that why does he grab the dude's shirt? I have no idea, but he just rips that
He's like,
shirt
that was
off of
designer.
He dodges the punch, and the guy falls over, and he says, "Olay!" What?
It
So
goes
silly.
to the hero line. It's go how about picking on someone your own, and then the lady just
Fuck you.
steps in. Full of-
Freak.
oh yeah.
Such
Love
a
it.
funny way for that to backfire.
Yeah.
And this goes to your point, Manny, that mask has
Yeah.
so much fluidity.
Right.
You look at the way when he's being serious, everything is like that Batman cowl, right?
Yeah.
It's just flat. but then as soon as something happens, like it immediately becomes cartoonish and
Yeah.
like
It's
full
got like two
angle.
mouths. Yeah. So
I love it. Oh, it's so good.
It's got the flaps on the sides, so you can just do weird stuff with it, like freaking like a bulldog or something, you know?
That looks so badass, dude.
Yeah.
He does.
So into that.
Yeah.
And then this teenager throw rocks at the window scene.
I was convinced that it was just gonna like explode
Yeah,
or like
same.
shatter the
Yeah.
glass.
It's like
He
it's just
throws
gonna
like a
go in,
freaking hunk of something.
knocks her
I love
out.
it. A little pebble, and again, it just gets bigger
Yeah.
and bigger.
Ding, ding, dong. It's like, how does that window not broken?
Right.
It's a giant fucking rock.
Love it. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Just flipping through and turn the page and see the dude with the like the fist just
Yeah.
mashing through the top of his head.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, such a fun sequence of the
Yeah.
guys in the cop car and just getting fucking murdered.
Yeah. And then these
But
guys.
again, I don't understand it. I assume it's the librarian trying to cover up all these tracks, right? To stop people from asking questions. So that's why he wipes out the bully and his whole family. And then that's why he wipes out the cops and he ends up like killing these two these two store robbers.
Yeah.
I guess it's all to cover the tracks of it. Like
Well, he kind of explains it in his like villain monologue. It's to do the job that Luther would not. Basically, like these people deserved murder and Luther didn't murder them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And so he's just like, no, I'm going behind you and I'm killing everybody you should have killed, and you're gonna start killing people now because that's what we do. We're
Yeah.
alpha males.
Yeah.
and alpha males kill.
Duh.
Okay.
That's what we do. The world was founded on murder.
Yeah. And owning women.
That's right.
It's so crazy.
You gotta buy them. They're for sale.
Thanks a lot, Kane. Yeah.
Yeah, I was appreciative of all the references to Cain.
Right.
Like, because they're going for some sort of biblical imagery tie-in, and that's
Oh,
coming
yeah.
down the line, but we haven't hit it yet. And I like, again, anytime you can kind of add these looming threats, sprinkle in more lore that makes your audience ask questions, I think those are all really effective things. I'd be like, wait, who's that? What's going on? How are we getting there? There's another thing? There's a whole organization. Oh my god.
Yeah. A murder cult. A whole like super powered murder cult.
I'm just looking at the
And I don't know if they ever
background here.
directly reveal it,
So good.
but like the sunglasses indoors for Petra, like
Yeah.
being a very obvious like cover of abuse, yeah, for the Shiners.
Yeah.
I like that they didn't really dwell on it, but it was, and she just plays it off, and that's kind of
Yeah.
all it is. They don't have that like shocking, oh my god, your dad beats you, like what a jerk. It's like, no,
Yeah.
you don't need to have the conversation on the page to know it's happening.
Yeah.
But this is what makes Petra such a badass. Like her cover up for it,
Peace.
definitely a defensive mechanism. But like, what happened to your arm? I hit somebody for asking too many questions. I'll smack the crap out of you. What do you want me to do?
And, like the subtle bruise on the arm, like they don't
Yeah.
draw too much attention to it, but the covering up with the sleeve is just a really nice touch. And then
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm leaving." And, she has that air of mystery about her, so you're just like, "Oh, she's just a cool girl," but you can read in between the lines and pick a
Yeah.
lot of that up.
And you get again it does give you some sympathy or empathy for the characters, right? The mom's abused, Petra's abused, the best friend, not so much. I mean, he's picked on, right? But definitely is always looking for a place to fit in. Because as Petra's leaving, he's like, "Was it me? It's usually me. It was me, wasn't it?" It just shows that
Yeah,
self
like abuse is like a very much a theme in this book, and
Yeah.
trying to escape the cycle of violence and abuse.
Yeah. Instead of causing more, you want to stop it. And that's when
But of
Luther
course,
comes
Luther
in.
has to. I mean, he has to, and like just from a
Yeah.
meaningful character arc,
Yeah.
have to indulge and become a part of it because you.
It's like
Yeah.
I won't become the person that I hate, basically.
Yeah. But he ultimately has to kill people to
Right.
because he's already bought in. He's in too
Uh-huh.
deep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He is violent, and now this is what violence does. This is the trail of destruction that like violence on violence begets.
It just destroys you, yeah.
So
Make love, not war, man.
the one thing that I love about, and I don't know, dude, it's Trad. He has to know what he's doing. When you see Luther without the mask on, like all the dialogue when he's talking, you get top teeth, right? Everything's top teeth. And then as soon as he goes into like Luther Strode with the mask and everything, because we see this back when he first runs into this dude with the girlfriend. We see it again when he comes up and like confronts the guy because he finds out he's also a drug dealer. When he has that mask on, you just get like that angriness, and instead of happy Luther, happy-go-lucky Luther, you get top teeth all day. He's gonna show you those pretty whites. But like angry Luther, it is just like all gritted.
Uh-huh.
So all you get is that bottom row of teeth. It just squinty eyes. His facial features just conveying like, I'm here to mess you up. It's just fantastic.
I got you for
So-
3 minutes.
3 minutes. Oh yeah. I came here to eat Slim Jims and kick ass, and I'm all out of Slim Jims.
You know, that
Yeah.
famous line.
Right.
You know, from the movie.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. And then like he just like wants this guy to hit him to feel justified in like kicking the shit out of him. I love the confrontation with the drug dealer. He just takes the gun out of his hand. He's like, hit me, and then he basically breaks his hand on Luther's jaw.
Yeah.
You done? My turn.
What's
Smash
really
the arm.
interesting though is like there's not a whole lot of sound effects going on. Not a
That's
whole lot
true.
of onomatopoeias, which I think is interesting. It happens sometimes, but not all the time, which I think is interesting.
That is true. There's no swipe of the gun.
Yeah.
There's no sound
There's
of them
no
pulling it
crunch.
apart.
There's no pop,
Yeah.
Crack.
pow. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like,
Just
the
trap.
violence sells without it. You know?
Yeah.
Right. I don't need schluck and blood and pow and everything. It's just
Yes,
so
you do.
awesome. The way-
Yes, you do.
I
No,
don't.
I'm just
I don't need
kidding.
it, but I want it.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
that's
it. I love
That's-
it. I love onomatopoeia. It's one of my favorite things about comics.
That's right. And then
How does it feel?
the library.
How does it feel to be powerless?
Yes.
Yeah.
How does it
There's
feel,
your hero
Strode?
motivation.
Yeah. So burly, big.
Yeah, such a
Huge.
good villain. Look at those arms.
I mean, he looks like
The
the old
beefcake.
school like bodybuilder from those old like newspaper clippings or whatever the hell you'd see, or the silent films or whatever. He looks like one of
Yep.
those guys, just like the
Yeah, he should be wearing a singlet,
yeah.
Yeah.
smoking a corncob pipe.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Time to use your fisticuffs there, sir. Yes, put them up now.
Yes, the Friday the 13th cover is fire.
Yeah.
And you get our little, drug dealer
Yeah, it's
woman away. So cool.
It's definitely a slasher hero.
I love. So there is a warning label on the bottom of this poster for the Friday the 13th that says, "Warning: no one under 17 will be admitted unless parents accept responsibility." I don't know if that was ever an actual rating scale, but I think it's freaking hilarious.
It rocks.
Nice.
It rocks. It rolls. And this is where, we get kind of the actual motivation of the librarian. Like, now it's time for you to kill this guy. This is what that all means. Oh, there's an onomatopoeia. Crunch.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that.
I love this 2-page, like, just sequence. This punch across the top is really great.
Yeah.
Debris flying crunch.
Like that.
Dude, the way Luther like spits blood is even cool looking.
Dude, yeah. It's
So-
those patterns that Tread does, man. They're nearly the same, just slightly different sizes, just coming out of the where he's spitting. It's that
I'm a
energy
big fan of the
force.
shape of the librarian's lip as he's cockily like explaining
Yeah.
what all this means. That little curved pursed lip thing going on.
Yeah.
I love his stash, his pointy little stash. And his little
Yeah.
tie. Yeah.
I love the structure and definition of a lot of the characters, like noses and the bridges between their eyes. How everything's like super blocky and chunky, and sometimes like features overlap with like the lines, and like he lets the like look at the fucking like cheekbone eye muscle thing that like almost arcs off the side of his face.
Yeah,
Dude, just wait until we get into the next series.
I know.
Every character has like such a distinguished pattern
Yeah.
to their facial structure, and Trad does it in every single panel that they're in. It is,
It's so cool,
Freaking-
man.
but you know, again, I think we talked about this when we were doing Daniel Warren Johnson. If you go and you read Space Mullet, that was like Daniel's webcomic, you can see in like the first 30 some pages that like Daniel's finding his style.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, you can say the same thing here. By the time that like you're at the bully fight where like the bully finally gets decked, like Brad was finding his way.
Yeah.
And by this point, like he is in comfortable art mode. Like he's in comfortable
Yeah.
So
I'd say that even like issue or the second part of Luther Strode, was it Legend?
legend.
I think
my
I feel
gosh.
like that's when he starts really bending anatomy and stuff, starts really playing with it, doing his little tradisms. Those are,
Well, you'll see it towards the end of this and like the final
Yeah.
confrontation.
yeah,
Like he's gonna start messing with the way anatomy bends and is manipulated.
really, really great, really fun. I wouldn't have the balls to do that, but he does. He's got big balls. Big balls, Trad's
Big
got.
old kahunas.
Yeah, the thing is, you just have to like kind of be consistent. That's the
Yeah.
thing. If you're gonna break rules, you got to break them all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Develop that like cohesive visual language with what you're doing.
yeah. Just feel like little rubber action figures, like Gumby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's where we start to build up towards the climax, right? We
Yeah.
get the buddy was left alive. The drug dealer, not buddy, the drug dealer was left alive.
Right.
So the rest of the posse comes in there to find out like what's going on. We find out through dialogue these aren't nice guys because they threaten the nurse.
Yeah.
And then they get the phone call from the librarian. We assume it's the librarian.
I mean,
Well, we get that. We get that from the bottom panel.
yeah. There's also the Myers Memorial Hospital.
I didn't even.
Oh,
Yeah.
know.
Voorhees, Myers.
We're just
Yeah.
missing Kruger,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
and we'll have the
Oh,
trifecta.
we get plenty of Kruger in the next book, just in the form of different villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, gosh, this whole build up, this scene where you run into the abusive father, because it's hinted earlier in the book. The mom's like, he's gonna get out of jail, and he's just gonna
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
Well, apparently Dad's out of jail, so
Yep.
just hang out here. God.
And it has to be this like true test of faith. Like, I want you to be a murderer, and who better to murder than this guy that you've been dreaming of murdering basically your whole life?
Right.
Yeah. Before we even get there, we finally get some real understanding. This goes to what you were saying, Kev. Like, murder was there from the beginning. We see that it's not called out specifically, not at least in the very beginning. But this is like the story of Cain and Abel, and Abel was supposed to be the good son. Cain murders him in the most brutal way. Like, just you get to see him Cain smashing Abel's head with a rock. Good lord.
Yeah, the eyeballs popping out of the head.
Dude,
man.
it's
It was absolutely crazy.
insane. And look at all that noodling going on it. Like the hair on his body, dude.
Oh my gosh.
It's so thin. It's so
Yeah.
incredibly thin. All those marks. I feel like he's using a brush. Do you know what tools he's using? Is it quill or is it just brush? Because I know he used brush throughout all of Doctor Strange. Or
See,
majority
I
of
don't
it.
know what he's doing back then. I thought like when I was watching or when I listened to his interview, he was using brush for Legend.
Okay.
So I'm going to think he's using something very similar because the line work between these, he has incredibly thin lines,
Yeah. I know
even in Legend and Legacy.
he brought some originals to Kim Jong-gi back in the day. Well, not back in the day. I guess like probably like 2013 or something. I don't know. But Kim Jong-gi, as we know, is like the master. R.I.P. He was the master, like inker, and he was just dumbfounded. Like he was amazed by Trad's work, even like from the first issue of Luther Strode. He was like looking at the patterns and stuff, and like just pointing things out. So Trad had the energy, man. Game
Yeah.
recognizes game, dude.
Um, yeah, I love the murder parable throughout this story. We get the beginning of these like cult markings. We get Jack the Ripper in here.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
Oh god, I can't wait for Jack. Such a fantastic villain.
absolutely bananas crazy. I love it. Now it's time to kill your dad.
Kill your dad. Come on, kill him. You know you want to.
A waste of protein, but he's better than you.
Yeah.
Power goes to those who can take it. Yeah. I really like that line. Kind of a mission statement.
Right.
Um,
And then he's like, no.
It's like, okay, you said no, right? You're not gonna do it. Well, hang on, I just gotta give a little sidekick here.
yeah,
Let me
just
stretch
gotta
my
plant
leg.
my foot through
Yeah.
his head.
Yeah.
It just explodes.
Yeah.
Like,
He's like, oh man. He calls out for him. Louis? And then, boom, it explodes.
Right? It shows that paternal connection because he doesn't call him Luther,
Right.
he calls him Luke.
but his mom doesn't call him Louis, so it could, it could be one of those nicknames where you actually hate it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
And then his reaction is, oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that line was a little bit corny. I did try things the easy way, but so let's talk about the hard way. Fun enough, it plays with the pulp sensibilities, but definitely a cheesy one.
Gives just enough details to have him pick between two, right? Just says her. There's not a lot of insinuation as to which her he's talking about. Right. So you kind of get
right.
But what I love is when the bad guys break down the door, if you're really paying attention to the detail in the panel, you know they're not at Luther's place. So you kind of give it away a little bit before.
Yeah, with the fuck off doormat and the Nirvana sticker.
Nirvana. Yeah.
Yeah. But like it's definitely a great misdirect. I'm a big fan. And Luther of course goes to his mom first. Great way to end an issue was, that reveal of he made that goof.
Yeah.
Oh god. Oh no.
So good.
It's like
this cover. Anytime we get that mask just covered in blood, that looks so freaking bad.
They knew.
Amazing.
They knew. We want the mask covered in blood. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I could do that.
And she asks, "What are you wearing? And what did you do to the door?" I
Yeah.
love that.
Very mom energy going on right there. What the fuck?
Well, because put yourself in her shoes. Like, you're just sitting there with Pete, and Pete's
Yeah.
probably being a little asshole, and you're
Right.
like, "Where's my son?"
And then
He just kicks down the door.
what the fuck are you doing, kid?
Yeah, and it's time to go save Petra. And where is she, man? She's getting the shit beat out of her.
Yeah.
Not cool.
God. Love.
And she's
love.
laughing at him. It's great.
Who taught you to hit your boyfriend?
I
Yeah.
mean, it's sad that, you know, she's used to this abuse, but it's just her ability to deal with it and then dish it back out, kicking the dude right in the crotch.
Well, I mean, it's like why does a man hit a woman to feel some sort of weird semblance of power, and like, how do you take that away from him? You just don't let him take the power, you know? Just let him feel powerless, even though he's being physically violent.
Hit him in the dick.
Yeah, you
Immediately.
kick him in the dick because it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tie up her feet, you idiots? Haven't you ever kidnapped a woman before?
Have you ever? Clearly didn't read the book, Hercules book. So, yeah.
You got to get these guys a copy of the Hercules Method.
Yeah.
This is great.
I assume this is Petra's dad,
Yeah.
right? They don't really call it out, but
My favorite panel is this one where his head is coming through the wall.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I know.
so awesome.
It's terrifying, dude. It's kind of like the
It's one-
Freddy Krueger like bit when he's coming out of the wall, you know, in the dream.
It's what I imagine when like you played Batman Arkham Asylum and you could bust through those. Like
Yeah.
that's what it really gives me.
I mean, Trad is also a fan of games, as we know. So
Yes.
and he was a big fan. I know later on, anyway. That'll be a later discussion because I did hear about him playing a game called Journey, and that helped him come up with a sequence later on in the Strode book.
Interesting.
But
Interesting. Journey rocks. That game is really good.
yeah. Look at that.
Man, I love watching Luther Strode beat the shit out of guys. It's just a fun time. And Pete explaining to the mom, like, well, he's a superhero now, basically.
Yeah.
And she just thinks he's insane.
So what the
And then,
hell
of
are
course-
you spewing? Yeah.
Of course, the librarian sicks the gang on Petra so that he can go get the mom. Like,
Yep.
great diversion. Good villain tactic.
Right.
Big fan. And playing with the pacing. One of my favorite tricks for pacing anything well is just give yourself an A and a B story. Because
Right.
as soon as you write yourself into a corner in your A story, pivot to your B
Meanwhile-
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just don't have to answer those questions. Basically, you can just kind of time skip a little bit and
You think
keep
on
it.
it.
But then also,
Yeah.
you can consistently keep the pace rolling. You don't have to like logic your way in and out of situations all the time. It works 10 times out of 10.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Again,
Here we go.
Petra's so amazing.
Ass kickery commences. 3, 2, 1.
What now? Behind you.
Yeah.
And then this is back to the this is the opening sequence of the book, right? That's
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
it. This is the room. Hi, I'm
Hi,
Luther.
I'm Luther.
It's very
Ah,
like
here to
like
beat
the
the eyeballs
Spider-Man
shit
quips,
out
you
of
know?
you.
He just like comes in, starts talking shit.
I just love the word or the term ass hat.
Right.
Get
I
the F off,
saw,
ass hat.
did someone say
I also love
fuck
that when
monkey
he
or
reaches
something?
for the Uzi on the shelf, is that there's porn in like on the
Right.
shelf.
Yeah,
Right.
boobs.
Shaker.
Yeah,
Tit shaker is what it says. And then
But
boom, full
Hey,
circle.
troops, are you faster than a speeding bullet? Or, 50? So,
And then change the scene
Boom.
because you don't know if
Go
he's
bounce
bulletproof or
right
not.
back.
Yeah.
Also, because you already know what happens. You saw it at the beginning. There's
True.
no need to dwell on this.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go right back to this.
Pete showing that Pete is a true hero. No superpowers. Gonna stand up to the big bad. Smashing a lamp over his head. He gets tossed into the kitchen.
I love the panel with the lamp though because it's like so much dynamic movement, but the librarian is just standing still, completely unfazed
Yeah.
in the middle of all the chaos.
The shrapnel wrapping around his bald head looks so friggin' awesome.
And I love the speed lines just kind of cut through everything. Like they're doubling as folds in the fabric, but are also just speed lines that are kind of directing your eye back to the action.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's just
Really
so
nice.
buff that the shirt is or the vest is just so tight.
Yeah, skin tight. You keep doing things that I wish you would stop.
He's, what a douche, but at least he's accurate.
He's funny. Well then, I suppose life is full of disappointments. Bullet dodge, crazy, sick. And I was hung up on this panel when I was reading this, where he just pokes her and knocks her lights out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Again, Trad, why didn't you put onomatopoeias on this page, man? I'm yearning for it. I'm clamoring. I'm hot and bothered. I want it. Give it to me.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. Did they have
was the letterer?
lettering by phonographics? There we go. I guess they just are really good at putting in dialogue text.
I do really like the lettering.
I
I
mean-
like the font and kind of the opening sequence. And
I feel like when there's big action sequences, when it's Luther and a big bad baddie fighting, I think that's when they use a little bit of sound effects, but it's not a
let them
whole.
fly.
Yeah. Not a whole lot at the same time. Because when they were crashing through doors and stuff with the librarian, that's when you had a crash. So
No, Pete.
maybe
Don't
it's
do
when
it,
the
Pete.
gods are fighting, But yeah.
This is what happens when gods fight.
Mm-mm.
Ultra mega. Yeah, bro. The detail to have his fingers get sliced off when he throws the knife is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah. That would suck.
Nah. He tries. He even gets a great stab in.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great stab.
It really is.
Oh,
Trying to
Oh,
think
man. I wish we should have asked the Sams. Did you think about this because you read The Strange Talent of Luther Strode?
Oh yeah, right.
The neck. Yeah, we're big into books where people get stabbed in the neck here.
Back to back with its neck stabs.
Oh man, it's just all the blood.
Dude.
He's so mindful about where all that's coming from, and you see that wraparound where Pete goes to grab the knife that's laying on the ground before he stabs him, and then where Pete's hand touches librarian's face, there's blood splat. There's so much thought and detail about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
And I love the implication that all hope is lost once we have this, he's just completely in shadow, and so is Pete in this panel.
Mm.
That's the end of Pete,
Yeah.
Tell it without saying it.
Oh my god. Yeah, if we didn't think there was enough ultra violence, then we go back to this. And again, like you pointed out, we've already seen it all. So we instead get Petra's reaction to it, where
It's oh,
Luther Strode buffs up, and then all of a sudden blood just splatters on Petra's face. She falls out of the doorway, and like a quarter of a person's face lands on the
Yeah.
floor next to her. Like, what the hell? And again, just the facial features, the like one squinty eye and the other one that just kind of, so good.
I love how like weighty the blood feels when it's like actually spraying her in this panel, where it's just like those big globs, just like, you know. There's the guy who lost the head, you know, that you saw in the last panel.
Right,
Here's
yeah.
the bottom half of his head.
See, I remember going all the way to the beginning of the book where you see the guy that's like punched up through the floor, and in this panel you got like the 2 feet that are hanging down into the panel. Oh, it's so freaking brilliant. It's so good.
So gross,
Yeah, the
dude.
fact that she just passes out.
The spinal cord and organs everywhere.
And then again, just that artistic transition. We get Petra passing out, Luther catching her, and then her waking back up, only to find out he's no longer in her apartment. He's now in Luther's apartment. We see the gun sitting on the couch, and then we see Pete.
Crucified.
Oh,
More
So-
biblical imagery. Cain,
Mhm.
Abel, Jesus.
Yep.
so brutal. And this is where we get Pete's note. This is the Pete's note. That's what I have next to it. So we have the death of Pete, and then his little scribble note with "I love the super Luther" at the bottom. The mask and like
Jealous of my drawings. Kill
it's so good. Dude, where the hell are you today? I mean, I assume you were out doing the Bouchica Wow Wow with Petra, but your mom has totally been blowing up my phone all afternoon. I'm gonna swing by and try to slow down the crazy. So this explains why like Pete's at, his mom's place.
Yeah.
But if you get this before you see me, call my ass. Also, if you tap that Russian ass, I want deets. Tap. So ridiculous. Oh
Love
my
it. Love it. What a guy.
Yeah.
And then first word in the next issue is just P.
Yeah.
Pete.
And look at that mouth, dude. The mask and shit. Like bulldog energy, man.
Oh my.
Oh, Pete. Oh God. And this is the first thing that he loses, man.
Yeah.
And I love the shot of like seeing his vitals kind of all
Mhm.
failing.
Yeah.
Like a really cool detail. It only hurts when I laugh.
The shattered ribs, like
Right.
just what the heck?
Everything's broken, man.
The veins that are cut in the arms.
The bones twisted in his legs.
Serious. Messed up.
Yeah. And Pete, till the end, he's like, I tried to protect her. He said he's got her at the docks, and we're back to the docks again.
Yep.
Let's go.
And
What's going
I
on
want to
with those
point
two?
this out. I want to point this out real quick. So the cover to this one, I don't know. Do you guys have the cover at the start of this
Yeah.
issue?
Yeah.
This is like when I thought of Trad, like this was Trad.
Yeah.
Just the insane amount of detail. You have all these different faces, all these different bone structures overlapping one another, all this crazy detail, and then it just continues in this vortex. And the fact that he's able to put all that in there is insane.
Yeah.
Because that was, when I started reading Legend, like everything is just that detailed. It's amazing. Amazing. Sorry. You get back to
No.
poor Pete.
Poor Pete. He's gone.
No.
That face. Death of a homie. And then it's
And
time
he
to
has that moment
leave.
where he decides to put the mask back on. I love that as like the like man Luther's gone, monster Luther is here,
Yeah.
and we got to go take care of business.
Yeah.
They can't stop him, but I can.
What a great.
Dude, I love the meditation,
On the pinky?
balancing on the pinky.
Yeah.
That's so rad.
It's
Such
just
a
perfectly
good look.
balanced. Look at his eyebrows.
He's just chilling, doing Hercules things.
Yeah. It's like eyebrows remind me of like an owl. You know? It's great.
And he
Dude,
gives a little.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I was kind of hoping because we see, the balancing here, and we get some more librarian exposition, but talking about the fact that insinuating I've dislocated your jaw, right? You could scream, but the sound your jaw is making is irritating me, to say the least. You have the power to undo what I did. You have the power to snap those chains as easily as if they were made from construction paper. And you have the power to kill me. Everyone has that potential. It's like, man, for a second, I was just like, oh, we're going to get Super Mom. This is going to be awesome.
Nope.
But that's not her fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know. But I had hopes.
Super Mom.
So much raw talent. That's always the thing in here. Is they got raw talent, but they need to be shaped and molded and curated.
Right.
Aerated. Fertilized.
That's right.
Yeah.
Irrigated, propagated. But then we just go full send into this boss fight. That's pretty much the rest of this issue, and it is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Luther comes fucking storming in, breaks through the ceiling, breaks through the floor. And we get some onomatopoeias. Your smashes, your crunches, here they
Yeah.
are.
I was just about to call that out. You guys finally get the onomatopoeia going on.
Yeah. But it's with the
I mean,
fight
they're great.
with the with his equal, basically. I feel like that was probably the rule that they may have given themselves. I don't know.
It feels good though. It's
Yeah.
cathartic as hell. Like it makes everything really explode with energy at the end of this.
Yeah.
Um,
Really leave it for
Man.
the fight.
this fight's so damn dynamic, so damn cool.
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of all
Good.
the things that they throw at each other.
Yeah.
It's just great. Just like ripping support beams out of the walls and throwing them.
Yeah.
Dude, him kicking the 2x4s up or whatever and then punching them in splinters. It's so cool.
Really rad. And the finally has the equal for the fight. Man, this is cathartic. Oh man. They really do a good job of making you feel afraid that Luther's not going to make it through, you know what I mean? Like he's just getting the shit kicked out of him for a couple pages. The
Explodes his
blood covering the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Explodes his eardrums, causes massive, involuntary blood to just pop out. Dislocates his arms, just rips his arms out of the socket.
Crunch, crunch.
I must break you.
You will.
And then he fucking almost kills his mom, dude.
Oh man.
Yep.
Fucking terrifying. So upsetting.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, does he kill her?
He
I think he
does.
does, right?
He does. He does. Yeah.
Fucking brutal, dude. That's the worst way she's got to go, but that's also gotta be there to teach him the lesson that, this is what this violence brings on. You can't, it's always wrong, basically. And it only hurts people.
And you can hurt the ones you love by doing it.
You only hurt the ones you love.
The librarian being such a dick about it. He set this all up.
He's like,
set it all up. So
you're a bitch.
murder his mom. God. So rough.
I can see now. I understand. I can see you're just a man like me. And all men die. Man, this 2-page spread is fucking awesome.
throwing Luther by his freaking arch intestine or
Yo,
whatever.
it's fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
just
Like machete,
spiraling out across.
dude. Oh my god.
I love the X-ray close-up of the rib cage getting cracked here,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and like reaching in and grabbing the guts. Oof, throws him, and then Luther just like wills his guts back together. It's
Yeah.
such a cool exchange.
Well,
I'm just-
and wills them back together after looping them around the librarian's head and then snapping his neck. Like, just turning his head completely 180 degrees. Then, then like you said, just, hey, regeneration powers.
Yep.
I want go back in my body, please.
Man, the blood and the gore is so good in this fight. Oh my god. And then they run at each other at full speed, full anime style, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
And just like, I love this page, this sequence. Just debris, dynamic action, just lines going in all directions, fucking shit flying everywhere. Oh,
I love
yeah.
that punch on the librarian. This. You're right. And then, and we see all the blood just like following his eyes and his jaw, his nose. It's great.
That's such a cool way to show, like, because I feel like most people would have the instinct to like bring the blood out to the right of the panel, like to
Right.
make it like burst with the movement.
Yeah.
But
it's
having
so
it track
fast.
against the movement
Yeah.
like demonstrates that speed so much more clearly, and that's such a nice little touch.
Yeah. And then.
so you were talking, Manny, about like starting to play with the physiology of a person.
Nah.
Like, I really feel within the past several pages of this action sequence, it's where we see him start to play with how limbs can elongate or you be a little modified here or there. He doesn't go full, trad. I think he waits until the next series to really just start to
Yeah.
hash that out. But you see it when like him being tossed in the air with the intestines.
Yeah, I've seen the
Well,
legs
we-
mostly, and like the
Oh.
forearms are really
Yeah.
curved, like some Gumby shit.
Some Gumby stuff, man.
I mean, look how
Yeah, fun.
long the librarian's leg is here. It's just like a freaky noodle that juts out.
So good. So good.
I am death. And the cops come and they're just like, I don't know if we should be here. Basically, like, the immediate fear and terror on their faces is so good.
And I love the oh my.
Just
Finish
the
him.
hand going behind. I
Yeah.
love that you can see the ribs like cracking with his hand inserted in here at this
Yeah.
panel.
Oh,
Ugh. I know what I am.
It's crazy.
And just like keeping the head on the rest of the spine instead of like just ripping out the skull. Just a very nice little touch of extra grossness to this
Yeah.
gore.
Some Predator
The head
stuff
is
right there.
intact.
Yeah.
I know that I can save her. Oh
so,
my god, what a closer.
so
Yeah.
Ooh,
That was great.
the hail of gunfire.
Uh
And then you're just like, what? And then it's,
huh.
Luther's autopsy. I guess that's the beginning of the next chapter.
the autopsy was like a little teaser for the next part. So
Yeah.
it's just one page. Wheeled into the autopsy and then just punches his way out.
It's great.
So
And then boom. And that takes us to the legend of Luther Strode. So buckle in. We're going to talk for another 3 hours. No, I'm kidding.
Buckle in.
We're going to come back to Legend of Luther Strode in a couple weeks. Just don't want to burn ourselves out on this
Yeah.
big old juicy tome
Yeah,
of
that's
comics.
juicy.
Savor the flavor, you know what I mean? God, Trad Moore, Justin Jordan, Felipe Sobreiro. This book is so good. Modern classic. It's if you haven't read it, go read it. I love that it's labeled as superheroes dystopian in the back.
No,
It's funny
really.
to me. Yeah. Yeah, closing thoughts, y'all.
It's good. Go back.
Yep.
can
100%.
I can I tell you I am sad because to me I am not ready to depart from the world of Luther Strode. Like I would love for next week to dive right into the next one, because it just gets better and better, and knowing that I need to look at a few more interviews with Justin and Trad and Felipe, but knowing that this was at least comprised of 2 parts, they knew as soon as they did one, they're like, we have another full story to tell. And it even felt like after they were started into 2, they're like, no, this is a 3-parter.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it was originally conceptualized as a trilogy, but I absolutely love it. Again, when you're looking at, just to your point that you were talking about, Kev, you can play off of tropes, and as long as you have something that's witty and interesting to say about it, you can make an entire new character, world, etc. off of just having some fun playing with tropes. And these guys like hit on all cylinders right out of the gate. They got to have fun. They got to play off of everything that they grew up with. And my favorite part about this is they did it all in the first part, because part 2 and part 3 are entirely their own. They get to just now play in this world that they have created. So I think that's why I'm so excited for the next 2 parts, which we will be doing in the next upcoming weeks. We're going to take a break, though, after this. But I don't know. Kev, what's your thoughts on Strange Talent of Luther Strode?
Yeah.
I think it's a ton of fun, man. I really enjoy kind of gory Spider-Man and the take that they've done on things. I can't wait to dive in with more of Luther Strode and just watch it grow and evolve with Trad and Justin, because I know just the quality just increases across the board. But
Yeah.
I do love the formula that they're playing with. I love the foundation that they've built. Yeah, I would say this is a must-read for the modern era.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
going to give it 2 big old thumbs up.
Yeah. 2 thumbs.
Who's got 2 thumbs and likes Luther Strode? This guy.
This guy.
Yeah. And so, as we always recommend, you want to read this book, the easiest, well, maybe not the easiest for anybody watching, listening, but the best way to do it is to go to your local comic book store.
Yeah.
I got this copy specifically at Acme Comics in downtown Greensboro. But Manny got his at Ultimate Comics in Raleigh. And you can go to your local comic store and ask for it, and they'll get it for you, man. This book rocks. They'll know exactly what you're talking about when you ask about this book. This is a good book. If you haven't read it, please make it your priority to do so.
Yeah.
Support local artists, support indie artists, support local comic book stores. That's what it's all about, y'all.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? Things we want to share with the community?
Well, I know Strip Panel Naked is a channel on YouTube, and they dove a little bit on Luther Strode, and I mean the Strip Panel Naked dude dives into a lot of different books, a lot of different tidbits and stuff about making comics and making it impactful. So I recommend checking that channel out, listening to Trad Moore's interview with that, listen to Trad Moore's interview on Felix Comics, comics art, because he's an interesting guy, really cool dude. We met him in person. He's one of the nicest guys and down-to-earth people we've met in the comics industry. And yeah, highly recommend supporting Trad Moore on anything and everything he does.
Yes, absolutely. Silver Surfer Black, Doctor Strange,
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider. Yeah, check it all out. He's the man. He's elusive. He takes a long time with his books. He's a perfectionist of sorts.
Oh yeah.
But if you can find him, talk to him, because he's the best.
Yes.
It's just
Long,
hard
luscious
to
locks, just like Luther Strode on the cover.
Let's see. Final thoughts. I agree with Manny. Strip Panel Naked. They actually have a series on Headlopper, so they talk about Andrew McCullough.
Yeah.
Which we've talked about as well, because it's a lot of how do you just tell visual stories. There's one on My Life as a Weapon, the Hawkeye series, when they
So
redid
good.
Hawkeye,
That's right.
which
Yeah.
I'd love to get to sometime. Probably my favorite Hawkeye story.
Same.
Everybody's
And-
favorite Hawkeye story. Name one other
Dude.
Hawkeye story.
True. Oh, true.
That fraction, he's that good.
Yeah. Some things to pimp real quick. So this is the last time I have to pimp the Time Police Kickstarter on here. So please, if you're excited about wanting to promote some indie work that's out there, our Kickstarter is only up for another 40 some odd hours. So please go out there and support us if you would like. We also will have some really cool stuff going on later this summer that we'll be able to tell people about. And one of those projects is also something I'm working on with Kev and Manny. So we'll share more about that later. And then I'm going to pimp, you mentioned Acme. Acme actually also partners with comedians. So I will be going to Acme this weekend on Saturday night, April 13th, for a comedy show. So
Nice.
I will be there with my lovely wife, so we can, so I can buy some comics, we can watch some comedy, and then go hang out afterwards. So if
Yes.
anybody's around the Greensboro area Saturday night, come hang out downtown.
That's
Love it.
great. Romance.
I'll
No,
also
fun.
go ahead and plug now, just because we actually do have the confirmation at this point, is Heroes Con.
Heroes Con.
So we're a couple months away, but still, it's exciting.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of comic books, go to Heroes Con. It's the best.
Yep.
And we'll have a
June
table in there.
14th. June 14th through the 16th.
Yeah. I'll have some
Yes,
sketches
June
out there
14th.
too. So if you want to snag some original art, you can get a Manny
Yeah, this next
sketch.
original, buy comics from tons
Yeah.
of talented indie
Yeah.
artists. Buy comics from well-established artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The mini comics that they got, like Daniel Warren Johnson's mini comics. Oh my gosh.
Oh
and
my god.
Tyrell King.
Yeah,
and
all of
Ben's.
Tyrell's stuff. All of
Yeah.
Jake Smith's Blood Force Trauma original
Yeah.
printings.
Yeah.
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 All right, y'all.
All right.
Have a great night. We'll see y'all later.
Yeah. Till next time.
Bye.